Welcome back. So we've got read from Firebase working. I always think about the word CRUD, right, which is create, read, update, delete. And so we've got read going on this page at least. We'll also have to do read again on the other page. But we don't have any way to create quotes in here. The only way I created this quote is I had to create a fake key, right, which is not really the plan. So what I want to do, and I can bring up an example here just to kind of show you. What I want to do is I want to be able to have a plus button up here, and then when I hit that plus button, I want to be presented with a dialogue that looks good on that platform. So if I look at that same thing over here, I guess this one is the native app, and so I want to be able to see that dialogue. I want it to say add quote at the top, and then have a place to put in the quote, and then the movie, and then an add quote button. So that's our goal. So let's start with the button. So that button, close up some of my tabs here. It's going to be in the HTML of the list page. So we've got the word movie quotes up here. And so we're inside the Ion nav bar, and we're going to put in a button. And you could go look this up in the documentation, but I'm just going to type this one with you. We'll look up the documentation a little bit more later. But if you want to put buttons up there, you call them Ion buttons, and then you can specify end if you want, and that'll guarantee it's over at the end. To be honest, without the word end, it would have defaulted to that location anyway, since it's after the movie quotes here. Inside the Ion buttons, no real shock, I'm going to put a button. It's going to have the attribute Ion button, and it's going to be an icon. So you add another attribute called icon only. Again, you can go look this up in the Ion components if you go look for buttons, but you'll find that it says this, right? And we're just going to use a click listener just like always, nothing too exciting here. And you can make it say whatever you want. You can make it say add quote, or you could make it say, show add quote dialogue, depending on how verbose you're feeling today. I'm always feeling verbose. And then inside this button, we've got an icon only, so we need an Ion icon. So an Ion icon is called Ion-icon. And then you have to give it a name. And then the only way you know the names is, that you could go look up in their documentation. So you could go look up, so it's not in components, it's actually down here in Ion icons. And you can see it's the top one, it's add, right? So we just say name is add. Cool, and so with that, we should have a little button. And then whenever you click it, it'll call this function, which does not exist yet. I'm not really planning on using this view did load, so I'm just going to kill it. And I'm going to do what I do, right? I'm going to start with a to do show a dialogue, right? And we'll make sure that everything is hunky-dory. So we've got a little plus button up here. It says to do show a dialogue. If you switch over to iPhone, so I just kind of switch over to iPhone there, you can see it looks just a little bit different, but it works just the same. So now it says show a dialogue. With dialogues, I will go look up a little bit from the components. Dialogues, they call alerts. They call them alerts because that's the name that iOS uses, right? So if we say, hey, show a basic alert, a basic alert looks like this. What we actually want is more of a prompt alert. So a prompt alert has like a title in it. You can see their little example here. It says, hey, you're going to need a alert controller using dependency injection. So that's pretty easy to do. So we'll just do dependency injection there. We will have to import alert controller. It can be public or it can be private here. You can see that they default to make things public, but there's really no need for that. Private is fine. I don't mind if you leave it as public. That's what their documentation shows, but it is unnecessary. And then you can see that they've got a show prompt here, and then here's their prompt thing. So what I'm going to do is this, is I'm going to copy from the word let down to the word .present. And what this does is this creates an alert. So it says alert controller .create using these options and then present it. So I'm just going to copy that whole thing. And then down here where it's got a to do, I'm going to put it right in here. And then instead of the word let, I'm going to say the word const because I just can't handle saying the word let when it doesn't change, right? And so you can see that this has a whole bunch of stuff. So let's just go see if this works. So it should say login, it should have a message, it should have a single input, then it should have two buttons, and all that should work, right? So I come back over here, hit the plus icon, and you can see it says login, and it's got stuff. If I type things in here and I hit cancel, it goes away. If I type things in here and I hit save, it also goes away, and it says cancel clicked, or it says save clicked. So things are going good. Now we just need to modify it for our needs. For our needs, we want the title to say add quote. We don't really need a message. If you don't need a message, you can just delete it, and then it's gone. Now we need some pieces. The first thing we want to do is we want to have a quote, and here it's going to say quote that you like. You can make it say whatever you want. So you can say inputs defines how many inputs there are. And so I'm going to copy this guy. Love that they used a trailing comma in their example. I was pretty excited about that. And then we also need a movie. And then here we can just say whatever we want. We'll just say from movie. Note that the name is like the name that you'll use to refer to the value that's in this later. And then the placeholder is kind of what the user sees on the screen. So those two things are all set. Next thing we want to do is look at our save and cancel buttons. So we've got buttons down here. You can see that the buttons have text, and cancel is already correct, but the other one is to save. I'm going to make it say add quote. They've also got a handler which receives a fat arrow function. I'm a verbose person, and you can see that I prefer to have the parentheses in my fat arrow function. They are optional, as you can see. It can infer that that's the input, but I like the parentheses. Cancel clicked is actually done, so I'm just going to leave it alone. For save, though, we are going to actually do some more stuff. So whenever they click on save, well, let's make sure it works, and then we'll revisit save. So now I come over here, and I hit plus, and now I can see that I've got a quote and a movie, and it says save clicked, which is good. All right, so whenever they click save, what I want to do is I want to make sure that there really is really is a quote and a movie, right? So since we gave those the names of quote and movie, that's their fields in the data that come here. So that's actually really slick. So you just say quote and movie up here, and then you've got them down here. So if we have a quote in a movie, then we're actually going to push it to Firebase. And to push it to Firebase is actually pretty easy. You just say movie quote stream, and you say push. And it's kind of funny, but the data, since it's got a quote in a movie on it, that conforms to a movie quote. So interestingly enough, you can just push data. Now there's a risk that it might have other junk on there that you don't want. But you know what? I'm just going to risk it and see if there's other junk on there that I don't want. And because that might be all we need to do, so we might just need to push it. And then down here, I'm going to say not a valid movie quote. And what I'm going to do that's sneaky is I'm going to actually return false. And returning false will let them not close the dialog, right? So if they click it, it's just going to stay up, which will be kind of fun. Cool, so save that up, and then hit the plus button. And I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to say, yo, Adrian, from the movie Rocky. And if everything works, I can go ahead and get myself set up here, ready for the magic to happen. As soon as I say add quote, you can see that it pushed it on there. I used a real key, and everything worked great. If I open it back up and I say the Lego movie, but I don't put on a quote and I click on add quote, it just says not a valid quote. And you can see that the dialog doesn't close for me. So if I add everything is awesome, it'll appear to be on there twice, right? So it says everything is awesome, everything is awesome. But really this was my fake key, so I'm going to get rid of my fake key now because I don't really need it. And you can see the other thing that it does is it doesn't do the order the way I want. Actually, I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and switch over to Android just for fun. So we'll just go ahead and pop over to Android and do a quick refresh. And so this will say newest quote. And you can see my newest quote showed up on the bottom. So I'm going to do what I always do, is I'm going to make a quick reverse pipe. I'm going to start with the Angular CLI, and I'm going to say Ionic G pipe reverse pipe. Again, with Ionic, you have to actually say the name at the end. So it's Ionic G pipe reverse pipe. And so you make the pipe. And so it generated a pipe named reverse pipe. So we can go see what it generated for us. And you can see that they actually kind of organize things better, in my opinion. So they've kind of got this folder called pipes, and then it's got reverse in it, which is fun. And then it's also got the pipes module. The pipes module is actually overkill for this app. It's a pretty simple thing we're doing. So I'm actually just going to go and kill the pipes module. I don't need that level of having modules. I'm just going to stick the pipe in wherever I need it. I'm going to kill some of the documentation because there's a bit much there for me. Their template that they created, they assume that the value that comes in is a string. I actually don't like that because it's going to be an array. And we'll just type the same thing that we've done many times before. So we'll just say if value, and the reason for that is because it might come in as null. If value, then we're going to do some stuff to it. So we're going to return a value.slice and then a dot reverse. And the reason for the dot slice is to make it idempotent, so it actually makes a copy of it before you call dot reverse on it. And then down here, returning value, you can actually say value or you can say null. I'm going to say null just because it's a little bit more readable. The only thing I didn't like about the CLI is that it also added the word pipe up here to the name. I'm gonna kill that because whenever I do it in the HTML, I'm gonna put a pipe and then I'm gonna say reverse. I don't want to say reverse pipe. So that is one place where the Angular CLI did it slightly more the way I wanted, which is no big deal. The comment here about makes it lowercase, that is not what it does at all. Cool, so here we've got a reverse pipe. We're not including it in any modules, so we're going to have to include it somewhere. I'm going to go ahead and go over to the list module, and I'm just going to add right here to the declarations the reverse pipe. And I'm going to import it and add my trailing comma. So you can see there was no reason for a whole module of pipes for me in this app. I've just got the one. I'm just going to keep it simple. And so what I want to do in the list.html is right here I say pipe async, and then I'm going to do a pipe reverse. So what this should do if it works is it should just put the newest on top. So that's an easy peasy change. All right, let's see what we got here. So we've got changes to the HTML. And the change to the HTML that we made were that we added the button, and then we also added the pipe reverse, so those two things are good. Inside the list module, I added the reverse pipe here. Inside the list.ts file, I added a couple things. I added Angular Fire database, and I added that whole prompt, which was fun. And then the reverse is something that we've done somewhere. So this is create new movie quotes. Capital M, lowercase q, doesn't really matter. So I'll ship that off and I'll merge it with the cloud. And we are chugging right along on this thing. So we are creating movie quotes. I know I did a couple of those steps fast, but that's the beauty of videos. You can pause things. You can look at things again to your heart's content until you get all the right pieces in all the right places. All right, so come back next time and we'll play around with delete. See you then. Bye.